to the Monday edition of SunTV. I'm Clint Franks, and joining me, as always, is the editor and publisher of the Choctaw Sun, Deanne Campbell. Hello.
How you doing, Clint?
I'm doing good. It's Monday.
Yes, all day long.
And we'll get through it together.
Yeah, we will. What's going on in the world today, Clint? We had a lot of rain over the weekend here.
Yes, we did.
Kind of a nasty, sloppy day yesterday, all day, half the night. Heard it pouring down rain last night. We probably got some soggy areas all over the county. I'm sure some of the dirt roads are pretty messy today. And some of the more questionable roads will probably have a little problem today, so y'all be careful out there. What about sports? Is baseball, softball getting underway?
Well, you mentioned the weather, so that kind of doesn't bode well for today's games. But yes, softball and baseball is in full swing. The teams that have not, there's a couple of teams that they've been at it maybe a week or two, and the rest of them, they'll get it on this week.
That's right. We've had several things going on in local schools lately. In particular, some Black History programs that happened last week. We're going to have a look at Choctaw County High School's Black History program. It was a very well presented program. Reverend Tim Pearson was the guest speaker, and really had a speech that I believe that is important for most everybody to hear. And they had some students who were really took center stage at that program, in particular a young man, Isaiah, who is a phenomenal saxophone player.
Yes.
If you've not had a chance to hear him, you're about to, because we're going to watch a little clip from Choctaw County High School's Black History program.
Today, I'm going to talk to you about the past, the present, and the future. Black History Month originated as part of an initiative by writer and educator Dr. Carter G. Woodson in 1926. Many of the contributions of African American people were left out, and many were not recognized for their contribution to society in the United States of America. Therefore, Dr. Woodson thought that it was necessary to start celebrating Negro History Week. And that went from Negro History Week to Black History Month that starts on the first day of February each year and is signed off on by the President of the United States. The theme this year for Black History Month 2018 is African Americans in Times of War, honoring those brave men and women who served their country in the armed forces, especially those who made the ultimate sacrifice in defending freedom and democracy. And it's extra special for me, being a former United States Marine, to be able to be a part of the program this year. I'm sure that most of you have heard of many brave soldiers. We've all heard of the Tuskegee Airmen who fought so brilliantly, distinguished themselves by winning a unit citation, Silver Stars, over 150 distinguished flying crosses, 14 Bronze Stars, and 744 air medals. But I want to talk to you today about a Marine general by the name of Frank E. Pearson. And I hope that you will get a feel for the price that has been paid and the sacrifice of so many people so that you and I would have the freedom and the right to justice that we have today in America. General Frank Pearson was the first African American Marine aviator. He was the first African American Marine general. And I had the great privilege in 1983, while serving on Okinawa, Japan, of actually serving with General Pearson as he came to our squadron. And I didn't understand as a 19-year-old the significance of what this man had done and just how great he was. General Pearson suffered many problems being a first, like many of the people in Choctaw County and our surrounding area. He told that in a documentary for the Smithsonian not long ago that when he started flying, that some of the places that he would stop at the restaurants, he couldn't eat. And I remember him talking about how he was treated and how the owners would tell him that he could not eat, he had to go outside to eat his hamburger. And I remember how the other officers would go outside with him and eat with him. He talked about how when he rode the bus off the base at Pensacola, that literally when he got outside of the gate, he had to change his seating position and go to the back of the bus. He spoke about how so many times he would stop while flying cross country, and the flight operations personnel would not talk to him, but they would talk with his co-pilot. And he went through a lot of different things. And then he told how one day at a restaurant that was near the flight line, how he took his jet aircraft, turned the jet blast toward that restaurant on takeoff, and he almost blew the doors off of that restaurant. But the thing I like about General Pearson was that he did not let all these things make him a bitter man. He served 38 years in the United States Marine Corps and retired as a lieutenant general, went on to be a vice president for DuPont and Conoco, and had a great career. He was an awesome man. And it's good, students, to look back at our past, to look in the rearview mirror, and in the words of Drake, I know some of you are familiar with Drake, look back and see how far you've come. And I want to tell you, we've come a long way. We've come a long way. That deserves a round of applause. We made a lot of progress. But we cannot live our lives looking in the rearview mirror. And it brings us to the present. George Santayana, who was a great philosopher, once said, "Those who do not learn from history are destined to repeat it." Now we, as African Americans, many are at the top of every category. Entertainment business. We have people like Oprah Winfrey, who owns her own television station. We have athletes like LeBron James, and one of my favorite athletes, because I'm a Golden State Warrior fan. They are at the top of their game. We have the President of the United States, our former President Obama, reached the highest office in the land. But yet and still, we live in some difficult times. And my goal today is to challenge you as students to look back, remember the past, and how far we've come. But I want to challenge you, and I want to make sure that you understand the times that we live in are serious. We must stand up for righteousness. We must stand for what is right, for justice for all. We must stand for the things that our founding fathers had in mind. When we said the pledge, I wonder how many of you thought about what you were saying. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We become a divided people. And I want to challenge this generation that you would stand up for righteousness and what is right. We cannot be about the right wing or the left wing. We simply need to do the right thing. We cannot be divided up by red states or blue states, because we are the United States. We cannot be divided, the north end and the south end. It's important now that we all be in, because we are in it together. We must understand that if we will do what has already been laid as a foundation, we'll be all right. Declaration of Independence say we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We look at the Constitution. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, think about what I'm saying, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, to secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity, that is, you all, do ordain this Constitution of the United States of America. All of those things our founding fathers put there for a reason. But it's up to you and I to stand up and fight the good fight of faith. Jeremiah Denton was a great leader, a senator from Mobile. And he was a prisoner of war in Vietnam for 7.5 years. And when he got back, he was paraded as a great hero. But listen to what Senator Denton said. Senator Denton said that the true heroes are the blacks who walk point in Vietnam at night and put their lives on the line. And get this, and they come home to America and they can't even go to certain places and sit down and eat a meal. That was an awesome statement by Senator Denton. So we must remember those times. And young people, I challenge you, don't take for granted the opportunities that you have today.
The problems I face, you're bigger than the disasters I've seen. You're bigger, you're so much bigger, Jesus, than what this life may bring. Oh, I can still make this call. Let there be peace. Now I can take go away. Today, because of faith, I have a brand new day. You don't have a choice in the matter. You have to see, yes, the storm. Oh, I told the storm, you can't last. Oh, storm, I said I won't be defeated. You got to go. You got to go. Oh, still I run ahead and think I'm strong enough. But you're the one who made me from the dust. When did I forget that you've always been the king of the world? I try to take life back right out of the hands of the king of the world.
We could celebrate it any day of the year. We actually could. but it's something about your own heritage. It's where you come from, what you believe, how you do, when you do, what are you doing it for? And the only thing that I'm asking you is, I want you to live up to your heritage. Just be better. So that means that you have to bring something to the table. Make sure that each day that you're on this earth, you are living to be a better person.
This week in the paper, we're going to have several things related to political candidates. Of course, that's the hot topic, and we talked about that, and we're going to talk about that some more.
Oh, yeah.
Some information about the community forum that we had the other day, some photos and some information about what the candidates had to say during the community forum for the ADC last week. Also, we've got a couple of more announcements that will come in. This is the last week that candidates can put in their free announcements, and we've got 2 that will be out this week. And so from here on out, you won't see those announcements anymore, but you'll probably see some paid advertisements from local candidates. We're seeing some signs go up all over the county. People are talking about it. That's the topic of conversation at the water coolers all over, I'm sure. And in particular, we've got a couple of races that are really shaping up to be pretty interesting. And besides that, we're going to look back at the life of Billy Graham.
Oh, yeah.
I know that's really something that they talked about all over the world the last week, since he passed away last week. Tommy and I got a chance to meet him at the Alabama Baptist Convention, the National Baptist Convention, several years back. And his speech during that convention was, of course, phenomenal. He was an amazing man that few could find fault with his ministry or his personal life.
He was, and he will, if you didn't know this, he will lie in honor in the U.S. Capitol. He's on the 4th private citizen to do so.
Right. And for good reason.
Yeah.
He was the world's pastor, really. I know he was called America's pastor, but he was pastor all over the world, really. One of the men who gains respect from everybody who ever knew his name. Yeah. So we're going to have a look at his life. We're also going to take a look at a survey that we did recently. The Sun Advocate did a survey of some local college-age kids. I call them kids because that's what they are to me, but college-age, young adults, millennials, I guess that's really the term that they use these days, to see how they feel about whether or not they would give up their voting rights or their cell phones in exchange for things like money or somebody to pay off their college education costs.
Wow.
It's pretty interesting, this survey, and I think it's going to be something that people are going to want to read because it shows how our young adults feel about voting, about cell phones, and about what's important in their life. So it's kind of an eye-opener. We're going to have a look at that this week. Among some other things, we got a couple of different stories on some of the local municipalities and what they're doing in their county and local governments for the towns. So we're going to take a look at all of that this week, and we'll also have some sports. We're going to have a little bit of a look at some baseball action, softball action, and we will also be looking at grilling in a little different way.
Nice.
Have you ever grilled a dessert?
Yes.
What have you cooked on the grill dessert-wise?
Pineapple.
Yeah, that's right. Not just that, but did you know that there is a whole list of ways? There are a whole list of ways that you can grill different desserts. Most of the time, people think of grilling, and I know people have gotten their grills out lately because the weather's been warmer. They think of steaks, hot dogs, burgers, chicken, ribs.
All right,
But you can grill some desserts too. We're gonna look at some of those ways that you can throw some desserts on the grill. Get Mama out of the kitchen. Put Daddy in the backyard. Let him grill.
Suits me.
Suits me too. That's our show for today. And on Wednesday we'll be back here on SunTV, and we'll see you then.